from Columbia in high definition. This is WIS News 10 Awareness.
Historically black colleges and universities, once the sole source of higher education for African Americans. Now, with the field of opportunities open for admission to other institutions, are HBCUs offering the same value? Do they give students a source of pride, or do they foster an unrealistic view of the world? Thank you for joining us for Awareness on HBCUs. I'm your host, Megan Norman. Joining us in the discussion on the current state of HBCUs is Dr. Cleveland Sellers, the president of Voorhees College, and Thomas Elzey, president of SC State University. Thank you both so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Let's start with the reputation of HBCUs. What do you think the current reputation is of these colleges and universities, and how has that changed over time?
Well, let me start off by saying that there is no doubt that we offer quality education at South Carolina State University and other HBCUs. We're accredited by over 18 different accrediting bodies. We have outstanding graduates who go on in the fields of engineering, business, entrepreneurship, speech pathology, education. So we offer quality education at our university. It has been that way in the past, and we continue to be that way even going forward.
Dr. Sellers?
Well, HBCUs have a long and rich history of providing opportunities to those who in many instances would not have an opportunity to go to those institutions. I think there are roughly 3% of the colleges and universities in America today, and of that, HBCUs graduate 20% of the African American students that come out of those institutions. They also represent 50% of the school teachers. It's about 60% of the attorneys come through HBCUs. And so we have been very productive in providing a quality education to those who in many instances, because of low income or first generation college, would not have an opportunity to get that education, which is so important and needed in the African American community.
And what do you think makes Voorhees stand out?
Well, I think what makes Voorhees stand out is our rich history, one of the things, and our legacy of perseverance and determination. I think the other thing is that we continue to work on the mission that was outlined by our founder, who wanted to provide an education to students who ordinarily would not get a chance to get that education. We have always been open to any student that would like to do their educational experience, a college experience at a small private liberal arts college. We try to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do well, and as a small liberal arts baccalaureate degree granting institution, we try to make sure that we have students prepared so they can go on to professional school, or go on to graduate schools, or go on to some additional training so that they can become efficient at doing what it is that they need to do in this new global economy that we are experiencing.
Sure. And what makes SC State competitive?
Well, SC State has nuclear engineering, speech pathology, as I said before, but we also offer a holistic type of academic as well as educational experience for our students. Our athletic programs, as you know, are among the finest. Our football programs, other programs like that at the university are outstanding. So, a student who is interested in going to a university to prepare themselves for graduate school and to be competitive in whatever professional area they choose to go into, South Carolina State provides a quality education for them.
Right. Now, there's no doubt that there are some challenges facing HBCUs, one of them being declining enrollment.
Yes.
Is that a unique challenge, would you say? Or why does that exist?
I don't think there's a unique challenge. I think that over the past fall semester, we have seen a fairly substantial decline in the number of students. Some of that has to do with the regulations and the policies coming out of the Department of Education, which have had a negative consequences and impact on the enrollment of low-income students and African-American students in particular. The other has to do with the fact that we forget that in 2008, we had a severe economic downturn, which means that many of the parents and the guardians and those who are going to support African American children and students coming to college, that support is no longer there. And that situation hadn't changed dramatically. So we began to see in 2009, the fall of 2009, a decrease in the number of African American students who were coming to school because they just couldn't afford it any longer. Right. So you take Morehouse for an example. Since 2009 to fall 2013, they lost 500 students. And now the UNCF is saying that for the fall of 2013, HBCUs lost 17,000 students. This is the 105, all of them. And a shortfall in revenue is somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 million. Wow. We are tuition driven. Mm-hmm. We can't lose students and be able to function like that. Right. But I think there are more young African American students who are going off to college. We have to continue to encourage them to do that, because a lot of the information that's going out is saying you can't afford it, don't go, try to find some other options. We have to, HBCUs, talk about the positives of all of our institutions. There are a variety of things that each institution offers. You can go to South Carolina State and get some degrees, nuclear engineering, or you could come to Voorhees and do computer and cybersecurity. And so there are options, but folk need to know that they have to get that education.
Exactly.
And we have to stress our competitiveness. We do know that the enrollment of minority students in many other schools has actually been growing. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we let them know, that we let the public know, that there is our programs are competitive and they are quality, no question about that. There has been this myth that has prevailed for quite some time that if you go to certain other schools, you'll get a better degree. Right. That's just not true. And the evidence is shown by the quality of the graduates we have. I just talked to a young man at our university who's going to be going to work for JP Morgan next year. I just talked to another young man who's going to be going to do his information technology bachelor degree at Carnegie Mellon University. We produce quality education and quality students in our programs.
Right. It seems like it's the public perception that you really need to target and try to turn around.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that declining enrollment was one of the challenges facing your school in particular, especially when it comes to the current financial situation.
Yes.
And I know you can't go into too many details, but what is being done, and how do you see your school moving forward in order to correct all of this that has happened?
Well, there are external factors that we don't control. And then there are the other factors we do control, and that is getting the message out about South Carolina State. And it has been important for us to market the university more, beyond the word of mouth, to put out materials, to participate in social media, to be on Twitter, to Facebook, things like that. So potential students know more about the university, to advertise and tell people about the success stories of the university and the positive stories about the university. That's our approach that we're taking.
Right. And any other changes that you are doing on campus at all to retain more students and to attract more students to your universities?
Well, what we're doing is we've done quite a bit of work to beef up and improve the physical environment of our campus. We are very conscious about our public safety, so we're doing things to make sure that our students are safe and secure at our campus. We've done things to improve the just physical environment of the campus. And so I think that's making a big difference in terms of retaining our students. And we, both of us, believe that it's important that we be present, that the students know that we're accessible and that they can contact and talk to the presidents, and we will hear their problems and we will deal with their issues. Have
you been getting a lot of student concerns and questions?
Well, not necessarily concerns, but I try to go to the cafeteria and to the dining hall and talk to them, and let them know that I'm accessible. If they have any problems or issues or concerns, they can talk to me about it. That's how we operate at South Carolina State. It's almost a family environment we try to produce there.
Right. And what about Voorhees?
Part of my vision is to create a student-centered environment at our institution. and that is where we empower our students. So we give them the opportunity to get involved in sending us information about concerns that they might have and having a forum in which we actually discuss those things. I go to the dorms and meet with the students and hear the gripes and what we need to do to improve. We also try to include our students in emergency management. For example, we have that major, but we also have a team of young people who are in that major who are part of our emergency management planning. And so we keep them engaged and involved in that kind of activity. So it's about engagement.
Right.
For the students to come to Voorhees, it's about activities beyond the classroom that we have to be concerned about. So we like to get students involved and engaged in all kinds of various and sundry kinds of activity, and begin to get them to talk about civic engagement.
Sure.
Because that's really important for them to understand, because what we're trying to produce is good citizens who have a good foundation in terms of higher education, who can go on and develop those to become whatever it is or whoever it is they want to be.
Right. Well, President Sellers, President Elzey, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Still to come, they are in the classes, dorms, and cafeterias, living out the Black college experience every single day. We'll hear from students on how they think the HBCUs stack up against other institutions of higher learning. Welcome back. Year after year, high school graduates make a choice on where they will continue their education, including students at HBCUs. Here to give us their perspectives on life on the campus of a Black college are Akeem Brown, president of the Student Government Association at SC State University, Darnell Stockstell, a sophomore at Benedict College, and Alita Wilson, a junior at Benedict College. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting us.
All right, the first question, why did you choose SC State?
I chose South Carolina State University. I tell the story all the time. The director of admissions at that time came to my house. I live in Orangeburg, South Carolina. He came to my house. I'm not on a sports scholarship or anything like that, but he knocked on my door. The first thing he said when we welcomed him into the home, he said, "You belong at South Carolina State." I said, "I want to get out of Orangeburg." And he said to me, "You belong at South Carolina State." I said, "Why?" He said, "We need you." It was that feel that made me choose South Carolina State, that the university needed me and I didn't need the university. Although in the back of my head, or the forefront of my head, I knew that I needed the university as much as it needed me. But the university didn't make me feel that way. They made me feel like I was needed on that campus. So that's why I chose South Carolina State.
It was courting you.
It was courting me, exactly.
And
Yep.
Alita, why did you choose Benedict?
Well, I chose Benedict College because my aunt worked there. She's not working anymore, but she told me all the opportunities that Benedict had to offer, and I was working 3 jobs, trying to help my mom I'm the oldest of 5 siblings, so it was just like, I wanted to better myself, so all the opportunities were at Benedict, as she said, so I took the first flight out, and I've been loving it ever since.
Flight from where?
New Jersey, Newark, New Jersey.
Okay. And Darnell, why did you choose Benedict?
Well, my story is a little bit close to, what's your name, sir?
Akeem.
Akeem. I was choosing a lot of colleges, but there was this one person that's an advisor now, but he's a director of a choir, and I'm a musician. So he kind of gave me a conversation, and he was like, you know, we kind of need you, and I'll kind of help you out along, but it was kind of nice because of how I saw the choir.
Right.
It was the Benedict Gospel Choir, I believe, and I just liked the way they did things, so I just made a choice.
And it won you over.
Yeah.
Well, we have a soundbite from your president. Let's take a listen.
We're trying to serve the community and serve it with quality, and have quality educational programs, a quality environment, quality participation, and graduate students who are committed to serving the community, and we like to use a model who are committed to be powers for good. Because unfortunately, we're still in a society that believes that anything that's HBCU or African American is worse than other things. That's just a presumption to start off with. So we have to overcome that presumption, and we've done that since I've been here. We've done that by trying to improve the campus, by improved facilities, trying to work on improving the neighborhood, trying to get better programs out there, trying to have more competitive students.
Presumption is true, what he just talked about? The HBCUs aren't as good because they're an HBCU?
A lot of people take that stereotypical mindset and run with it. It is very much true because I have been out here to these other schools, and when I tell them I'm from Benedict College, or oh, you're from Benedict? Yes, I hold my head up high and say, yes, I'm from Benedict College. My major is such and such. But when dealing with these different stereotypes, is just, you just have to always stay strong and just, you know, take pride in where you come from. Because if you don't take pride in your school, who else will?
Now, what are some of the challenges you're facing while on campus, and is your school living up to your expectations?
My university definitely is going through some challenges at this time. But I can tell you the university has yet to fall below my expectations. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. My university promised me a quality education. Throughout all the financial troubles, all of the stereotypical conversations that have surrounded my university, or the challenges itself, I have yet to be denied that quality education at my university at South Carolina State. And so that was the promise that they made to me, and they fulfilled that promise. I'm getting ready to graduate on May 9th. I'm excited. I've received internships throughout the university, and a lot of opportunities being associated with this university. So
it's kept its promise.
It's kept its promise to me, so I have yet to be let down.
All right, thank you. Akeem and Darnell, what about your expectations? What are your challenges?
Now, it's definitely I kind of expect a little more from my major, and that's being truthful. But I do see a huge improvement. Now my major is music, and there's the resources, and I talked to one of the professors, and he was telling me about so many of the things that are happening, and I'm basically seeing them happen before my very eyes. You know, there's studios, there's Mac labs for, you know, production and everything like that. So it's improving, and it's kind of nice to say that, you know.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for being with us this morning and sharing your perspective.
Of course.
Great.
Thank you.
When awareness returns, it was a deadly civil rights demonstration in 1968 near the campus of SC State. And one of today's guests was convicted in the aftermath of the Orangeburg Massacre. After the break, we'll hear more from Dr. Cleveland Sellers about those turn of events as we highlight him as our modern-day history maker. Stay with us. February 8th, 1968, a protest against a segregated bowling alley in Orangeburg turned deadly when South Carolina Highway Patrol troopers began firing into a crowd. Samuel Hammond Jr., Delano Middleton, and Henry Smith were killed, and 28 others were hurt. And Dr. Cleveland Sellers was convicted for starting the riot that sparked the deadly demonstration. Thank you for coming back with us.
Appreciate having the opportunity.
Paint the scene for us then on that day.
Oh, that night it was a eerie kind of night. It was a cold February 8th night. The students had lit a bonfire out in the streets where the administration building is today. And they were using that to get warm and to rally and get more motivation. Shortly after the bonfire was lit, the police come in with a fire truck, and they are putting the fire out, or trying to put the fire out. The fire didn't endanger anything or anybody. It wasn't going to go any further than it was, but this was the whole event of that night was overreaction on the part of the police. And they put the fire out, and during that process of putting it out and taking the fire truck back to a safe area, someone threw a banister and hit a state trooper in the head. And I think that angered the police who were there. Shortly after that, the police, 9 officers, 8 state troopers, and 1 local police lined up across the front of the hill. They were down at the bottom of a hill, and the students were between that hill and Loman Hall. And I was on campus. This is the first time that I knew that something was going on. I came out, was crossing the street to where the students were, when I looked down and actually saw the police guns out drawn. And my reaction was, because of my prior civil rights experience and history, was to move the crowd inside. Let's talk inside. This is not a safe area to be in. And so at that point, I get over and I actually recognize Henry Smith. And I go up to Henry, but I don't think I even got his name out before the night turned into daylight, as all of a sudden the gunfire went off. And it went on, it seemed like it went on forever. But they were shooting pistols and shotguns and rifles. When you talk about the number of people who were injured, it was probably more than the 28. But all of these people were shot. The large percentage of them were shot in the back of the head, in the back, in the buttocks, in the bottom of their feet, because they turned instantly to move back away from the crowd. But
were you injured?
I was shot in the left shoulder, and then began to move back to the interior of the campus. As I moved back, I could hear students all around me saying, "I'm shot, I'm hurt, help me."
It seemed to turn in an instant. You didn't think it was going to escalate to that point.
I did not have any idea, and neither did the students. We were all surprised by that particular act.
And you were incarcerated for 7 months.
Well, I went to the hospital that night. I was the last person that actually left the infirmary over at South Carolina State and went down to the hospital. When I went down to the hospital, I knew that I probably need to kind of keep a low profile, because I became convinced that the targeting of these students and the opening of fire might have had something to do with my civil rights history and background.
Right.
And so I tried to keep a low profile. I was identified and arrested and charged that night with 5 felony counts. And then I was rushed off to Columbia from Orangeburg. I consider that to be the fastest I've ever ridden in a vehicle, like a car. And we opened up the prison in Columbia. It was the old CCI. It's no longer here now. But it was a notorious prison in South Carolina for a long period of time. And when I woke up the next morning, I was housed in the section of the prison that held death row inmates.
Wow. And
go ahead.
There's so much more to your story, and I would love to get it out to our viewers. We're going to have much more on your story on our Facebook page, so you can hear more about this incredible experience that you had to go through.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
We'll be right back. We would like to thank all of our guests this morning. Until next time, I'm Megan Norman. This is Awareness.